Okay. This was just awful. Yeah, honestly, probably one of the worst Marvel films ever made. Like, I can't even tell if this is even a Marvel film.
Yeah, I can barely call this a superhero film. And also, most of the Eternals were incredibly unfaithful to the comics.
Yeah, and also the CGI for their powers as well, they look pretty bad. Same with the CGI for the Deviants, it doesn't look good either. Like, I feel like the CGI in this movie was pretty overused. And that's not the worst part. The worst part is that they basically made the entire plot of Avengers Endgame completely pointless. Wait, how exactly? Well, you know how the main plot of the film focuses on something called the Emergence, which is like a birth of a new celestial which will cause the Earth to be destroyed? Yeah. Well, apparently Thanos' snap that wiped out half the universe delayed the emergence, and the Hulk snap that brought everyone back to existence reawakened it. So basically, the Avengers brought back everyone who got wiped out of existence by Thanos' snap, only for them to not know that it caused a celestial to be reawakened and destroy an entire planet. Oh, I never thought about that. Yeah, and apparently Salma Hayek's character Ajak knew about it all along. If that was the case, why didn't she do something about it? Probably because Erisham doesn't allow her to, and she's too afraid to know what happens if she disobeys him. Speaking of Erisham, I think he was the only best character in the film. Like, he was the only one who was actually interesting, unlike any of the Eternals. Like, I don't know why he couldn't be the main villain instead of the villains that we got here.
Yeah, 'cause the villains that we got here were pretty bland and boring. Pretty much the same level of boring as the film itself.
Hey, since we all know that most of the Eternals were pretty unfaithful to the comics, shall we talk about each of them? Sure, I don't see why not. Let's start with Ajak. In the comics, Ajak is the leader of the Eternals, so they got that right. But in this movie, the character was absolutely wasted.
Yeah, because she died pretty early into the movie, and we only got to see her in flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah, because this film is one of those films where there's a flashback, then we cut to the present day, then flashback, then present day, flashback, present day. It's one of those films.
And here's another thing. You know how the MCU did a lot of gender swapping in several films? Like they gender swapped the Ancient One in Doctor Strange, Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and also Taskmaster in Black Widow. Guess what? In this movie, they gender swapped 3 Eternals, and Ajak was one of them. What is up with the MCU and gender swapping? I don't get it. Okay, now, next up is the main character Cersei, who's played by Gemma Chan, and I don't really have much to complain about her because I barely know this character at all. I don't know much about her. Like, I don't even know if they even got her powers right. I do have a question about her, though. Why did they cast Gemma Chan? I mean, wasn't she already in the MCU? To be fair, though, the character she played in Captain Marvel was blue-skinned, so that's one way to make these two characters look different, despite being played by the same actress. I mean, I guess so. But overall, I think Cersei is the most tolerable of the Eternals, but just not very interesting of a character. Next we have Icarus, who is played by Richard Madden, who, spoiler alert, is the main villain of the film, apparently. And I'll be honest, I got really bored watching his scenes.
Come to think of it, even Richard Madden himself looks pretty bored in the role, almost as if he wasn't interested in playing this character.
I wouldn't blame him if that's the case, because Icarus is just another one of those lame, generic, evil knockoffs of Superman, just like Homelander and the kid from Brightburn.
I mean, I guess him being the villain is a comic accurate thing. I mean, he is a villain in the comics, but the plot twist was handled pretty badly.
And there are also these other villains called the Deviants, led by a character named Crow, who is voiced by Bill Skarsgård. And all I can say is, I never find them interesting, nor terrifying, and the CGI for them makes them even less compelling.
Which says a lot coming from you, because normally you like seeing monsters rampaging and stuff like that.
Indeed.
There's one thing I'm confused about. Who is the main villain of the film? Is it Icarus or Crow? Because the way both of them got defeated were pretty anticlimactic.
Yeah, because Crow just easily just gets cut to pieces by Thena, and Icarus, he just purposely kills himself by flying into the sun after Cersei stopped the emergence.
Speaking of Thena, you know how earlier we said that Richard Madden looked pretty bored playing Icarus? Well, same thing can be said about Angelina Jolie playing Thena, because she looked extremely bored playing that character. I know, right? And also, the power that she had in the film, where she can, create her own weapons, that's not a power she has in the comics. Not only that, but for some reason, Thena randomly just loses control, goes crazy, and turns against the other Eternals. And then Gilgamesh has to, bond with her to make her feel better to not do that. They never even explained why that's even happening to her.
Yeah, pretty stupid. Also, speaking of Gilgamesh, what I really hate about that character was that he is supposed to be the strongest Eternal, and he just gets killed pretty easily.
Yeah, that was pretty stupid. Also, then we have the character Phastos, played by Brian Terry Henry. There was one thing about this character in the film that was extremely unfaithful to the comics, and that's the fact that he's gay. What was the point of that change? Weird, right? And I also think in the comics he carries a weapon, like a sledgehammer or some sort of hammer. Not to mention, Phastos doesn't really have a lot of screen time in this movie, and neither did Makari.
Speaking of Makari, apart from her being a speedster, she was also pretty unfaithful to the comics. Because, one, they gender swapped the character, and two, for some reason they made the character deaf. And I'm pretty sure the character is not deaf in the comics.
I think the reason behind that is because Lauren Ridloff, the actress who played her, is deaf in real life. And no offense to Lauren Ridloff, and I am not hating on anyone who is deaf, so please don't assume that. But she was a miscast as Makari. I'm sorry. Which also makes me wonder. Erisham was the one who literally created the Eternals, right? So why would he purposely make one of his creations deaf? That doesn't really make sense to me. Who knows? But then we get on to one of my all-time least favorite characters in the entire film, Kingo. I despise Kingo because he was too much of a goof and he was also a coward.
Yeah, and was that finger blast of his supposed to make him look cool? Because it really doesn't. It makes him look ridiculous.
Ridiculous and unfaithful to the comics. Because I'm pretty sure in the comics he looks like a ninja and he carries a sword. But for some reason in this movie he apparently became a Bollywood actor. Bollywood? What the heck is a Bollywood? I also really hated that
Kingo just abandons the Eternals right after Icarus's betrayal and never came back for the final battle.
For a very stupid reason, too. Which makes him into an absolute coward. A selfish one. And then there's Druig. There's not really much I can say about this character other than he's very bland and forgettable. And I'm also pretty sure in the comics, he's a villain. Even more villainous than Icarus, I believe. I mean, there were some scenes where he kinda acted villainous. He just never became one. And then last, and definitely the least, Sprite. I really hate that character. And it's not just the fact that they gender swapped the character, but also because she was very annoying and obnoxious. Yeah, tell me about it. Especially because of most of her jokes and all of her complainings about the fact that she can't age and she is stuck in a body of a 12-year-old, so she can't fall in love. Which is exactly the reason why she joined Icarus in the dark side. And she also apparently has some kind of crush on him. Weird. Guess it's a good thing I never fell in love. And I probably never will at this point.
Now that that's out of the way, let's now talk about the ending. Because guess what, guys? The movie ended on a cliffhanger, setting up a sequel that we're probably never gonna get.
How can there be a sequel? There's pretty much nothing left of the Eternals. I mean, Ajax, Gilgamesh, and Icarus are dead. Cersei, Phastos, and Kingo are kidnapped by Erisham. Sprite is now human, and she can finally age and eventually fall in love. And then Thena, Makari, and Druig are pretty much the only ones left.
Which brings us to the end credit scene, where we get introduced to a character named Eros, who is apparently the brother of Thanos.
How could he be the brother of Thanos? He doesn't even look like he's related to him. Unless if he's adopted, then maybe that'll make sense.
And you know what the weirdest part is? He's played by Harry Styles of all people. Like, seriously? I bet there are plenty of other actors you could have chosen, and you chose Harry Styles?
Look, I like Harry Styles, and I do like One Direction, but I mostly prefer him as a singer, not as an actor. And they also brought Patton Oswalt to voice a hideous-looking character. Like, don't you dare bring Patton Oswalt into this. Now, when it comes to the post-credit scene, we also forgot to mention Dane Whitman, who is played by Kit Harington. Oh, you mean the Black Knight? Yeah, they probably should not have put him in this movie. They should have saved him for, like, his own movie or a TV show or something. I don't care, just not in this movie. I agree. Because in this movie, he was incredibly underused. Because the only times we ever got to see him was in the beginning of the film, on a phone call with Cersei, the ending of the film, and then this post-credit scene. Those were the only scenes we ever got to see him. I think this post-credit scene is supposed to be like a setup for his own story, because we see him open a chest that contains a sword. I think it's called the Ebony Blade, which I believe that it's a sword that he uses in the comics. And then all of a sudden, we hear a voice talking to him. And we didn't get to see who it was, but apparently it's Mahershala Ali's Blade. I honestly don't know why they casted Mahershala Ali as Blade. I mean, wasn't he already in the MCU? Yeah, but his character was pretty wasted in Luke Cage Season 1.
I don't know if this new Blade movie is ever going to be made, but let's face it, Mahershala Ali will never top Wesley Snipes.
Yeah. And remember what Wesley Snipes once said. There's only one blade, and there's only ever gonna be one blade.
Anyways, that'll be it for this review. I'm gonna rate this movie a 1 out of 10. The only reason why I don't give it a 0 is because of Erisham. And I guess the music was pretty good too. But now, let's find out what movie we're gonna review next.
The next movie we'll be reviewing is
King Kong.
Yes, a film by Peter Jackson.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like. But if you like this channel, please subscribe. See you next time.